Okay, accent. Another concept. And essentially, there are times that you want to attract attention to something or away from something. We've already had the War Eagle example. Sometimes we have neighbors that have things that we don't particularly want to look at. And so if you can't build a wall, a fence, trees, something to screen it, you can maybe divert people's attention to another direction. Of course, I don't know who would put this in their backyard, but it would certainly make your eye go in that direction, right? You can use color, you can use pottery, you can use blooming things, but the whole idea is to get people's eye to move where you want it to. If you'll notice, do some research on the old masters' paintings. Van Gogh and these guys, they drew chalk lines and then put the cherub's face first and then the lady's face and then the whatever. And the whole idea is to get your eye to move over that painting the way you wanted it to. And you can do the very same thing in the landscape. And essentially use these sorts of accent things. Little tiny backyard. It's so shady that when they built their fountain, you couldn't see it. It's just too dark. So they did the little short wall, but they keep the shrubs pruned below it so that it just outlines it. Your eye has to go in the direction. And then they put the light colored gravel. Light colors tend to attract attention. Dark colors tend to minimize your attention. Little pond is always something that attracts attention, or no matter who goes into your backyard, if you have a pond, whether it's an adult or a kid, they want to mess with the fish, right? And so water features typically are great attention getters. Lord knows you could have some Alabama fans over there. But you don't want to give them any more attention than you possibly can. So you go something to attract. And you can do fog. Fog is fun. The little thing you put in the pond and it really kind of freaks out your neighbors. I wonder, what's he smoking over there? Clustering plants. It's just a concept. Typically, a plant by itself is kind of a dull thing, right? Clusters tend to work better. Corner of a house, you really want a cluster. You don't want a single kind of plant there, right? So what does that look like from the front? The whole idea is you've got your front door where people are looking, and it kind of does this, so that it's bringing your attention toward the middle of the house, toward what it is that you want people to look at, right? And this is where I was talking about the mystery. Rather than what you have is a square, everything is square, right? But you can do groupings along the breaks in the architecture, and you will create that little bit of mystery, and it will just knock all the harshness off of all the square angles.
What is that? The arms of weakness?
Areas of weakness, points of strength. I didn't want to get too technical, right? Threes and fives, odd numbers look better than even numbers. 7 looks better than 8 or 6. Why? I have no earthly idea. I'm sure there are some very smart people somewhere that can explain that. Typically, we don't want to use such a large number of plants. I know master gardeners want to have one of everything. But to repeat some things, when you go by the little abelias, I got a great picture I'm going to show you. Buy 5 of them, or buy 7 of them, and use them at various places around the landscape. Whether buy 2 of this, and 2 of this, and 2 of this, and 2 of this. I guess it's really going on, right? Curving bed lines, essentially, a couple things going on. One is the curves look better than squares. What I typically do is I'm sure y'all have already heard the example, take the garden hose, lay it in the sun, it gets nice and soft, lay it out there. And what I always do is go get my lawnmower and see if I can navigate. I am the laziest gardener there is. So once I've got exactly where I want it, then I go and ask my wife where she wants it. That's where it essentially goes, right?
Well educated.
Smarter than I know, right? Curving bed lines is always good. Now, we can get carried away with that. For one, how do people get to your front door? You know, you got to walk through the deep grass, and it's all wet, and you're looking at it, so you kind of come through here, and you kind of hop over that one, and you're trying to get there through the mulch, right? So you don't ruin your shoes. Give them a way to get to your front door. I like the fact that if you're going to use meatballs, at least alternate them or something. I like that. But I don't really know what that's all about. Someone had been imbibing.
They want you to use that one.
I guess, there you go. They want you to come through the garage and step over the pile of newspapers and all that kind of stuff, right? When I talk about curves, big sweeping curves is what we're talking about. All the post properties that are so nicely landscaped, they back up, dump out a truck, pat it down, and put stuff in it. Nothing's planted in the ground, which I think is very cool. But big sweeping curves is what you're going to see. Big sweeping curves. This is a new landscape being developed. See the big sweeping curves, and you can do all your plants and fun stuff in and around it. Now, when I say curves, not everything is going to be a curve. This is pretty straight, isn't it? How do you know it's straight? I gotta put a string on that sucker and make it straight. But at this end is that big sweeping curve, and on this end is that big sweeping curve. So everything doesn't have to do this snaky around the landscape, but use it where it's appropriate to use it. This is kind of a long area. There's gonna be a lot of hostas in here, a lot of flowering things, shade things. This is what I'm trying to avoid. Serpentine, I guess is what you would call that, right?
They put a lot of money in that too.
I don't know. These sidewalks are all supposed to be where two people can walk side by side. That'd be two busy people. They'd have to take turns when they come to this junctures, right? Think about height and growth rate. This is what we do. We buy a new plant, we fertilize it, we water it, and it grows. Then it grows some more. So what do? We suddenly butcher it off. And what does it look like? A teacup that's been butchered. And essentially what you got is a plant that just doesn't belong there. And we've got in this book, it's going to give you dozens and dozens of choices for every size. And the whole idea is to plant it, never touch it. But I mean, it's just not that much fun. There's some roses I have to prune, but I have to. And that's a chore because they eat you alive, right? But we can do better than that. The other is how close do you put these things to each other and to a wall? This plant's going to get 6 feet wide. How far has it got to be from that wall? At least three. Otherwise, it's going to be all going into the wall, right? Preferably more so you can get back there. And so, creatures and Lord knows what all, you got mildew and all those things that come with it. Now, these are leaves on the corners of the house, okay? They're really just about the right size, right? This works at this point in those plants' life. Now, how tall are those leaves going to get? About right there.
If they live that long.
Now, I love this picture. I had to stop in the street and take this picture. Here you got all these, now they got, a lot of houses will have this solid wall with no windows in it. So you got a big, giant gray wall, right? Pretty dull looking. And they wanted to cover something, want to put something there. So they put the leaves in, yes, they'll get big, but they plant them so close that the plants are all, they got boards popping them up.
Because they're trying to come away from it.
Yeah. So I want to go over and kick the boards out. I figured that the plants will fall down, the house will slide into the street. Don't know, but it just got too many plants in too small a space. You could have used leaves, but 2, 3. I don't know that you need, 12? We'll talk about leaves for a minute. People call us and they got all these plants and they're so close together. Leaves are cheap. Essentially, the way the propagators at the nursery, you just go out there with one of those machines, goes zzz, and you cut off about 400 little pieces, just stick them all in pots and they'll all grow. Real cheap, real quick, grow fast, and we kind of way overused them. People plant them way too close together. People call our office and what I tell them is, okay, go out there with a saw and saw down every other one. And in 4 years, saw down to every other one again. You'll be about right. Because people plant them way, way, way too close. These things get 12 feet wide. Let's see, I think I got a picture. See the lady? That's how big they get. And to put them under power lines or put them next to a house, it's just, there are places we can use legumes, but they're just There are so many other choices. I thought this was good. They're eating the power lines. And they're so tight that they started getting naked at the bottom. So what did they do? Put some more in front of it, right? I don't know who lives there. I don't think I want that who lives there.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, really. I'm sure the power company, they trim every little tiny branch. They got this and they just went, oh crap, I'm not getting in all that. They just go right on by that house year after year, right? Okay, sometimes you need screening. Sometimes you need to block away that unattractive whatever is going to be next door, right? And there are ways to do that. You can do this with a wall. Walls are temporary. If you plant any kind of wood, any kind of whatever, it ain't going to be there forever. It's temporary. So the whole idea is you got to do something quick, do the wall, but plant something there, and then when the wall rots down, then the plants will be there to take its place, right? Now, to me, I don't particularly want to live in a green prison. This is not really what I want to look at. It's a whole lot better than the War Eagle thing, right? This, to me, is much better. At least it's got some texture to it. It's got some little spaces in between and that kind of thing. How about mixing your plants? If you got to have to look at something, you want to screen out a neighbor, let's use some variety, right? Now, one other thing about screening, think about security issues. You know, if you build this perfect screen against all of your neighbors, you know, all the burglars, they're having a barbecue in your backyard because it's the best place to be, right? So do think about security and the issues that go with that. Every plant has a shape that is just natural, genetic, or whatever you want to call it, shape. I love the weeping shape, you know, forsythia and things. I love that shape. And we have too many squares and meatballs, in my opinion, and not enough of these other shapes. Here we have a plant. Now they pay good money for those lights. So they butcher off the top of the plant, so by God you can see their lights. And once again, I know there's spider webs across there. I just know it, right? So I don't know what the of course, if you did the pickup truck method where you backed it up here and used your chains, I don't know what would you miss. I don't think you would lose anything if they just disappeared and went away. So think about the simplicity thing we talked about too. What else? Texture, just as clothes and fabrics have textures, plants also have textures. You've got the big leaf things and you've got the small leaf things, and essentially when they're planted together, you can distinguish that you have different plants. Here we have really 3 or 4 different plants in there, but they're all of that fine texture. And you really can't see from the street, it's just a giant dark glob, right? The only good thing happening here is the smilax vine and weed that's coming out through there to give you a little texture in this picture, right? Color in the landscape. Wow, we can get bright colors, right? I drive by the house and think, ooh, that was nice. And then you go back and look, well, you know, they really ain't landscaping nothing. They just threw some thrift out there and they got some daffodils coming up. But that's the impact that color in the landscape can have. It can just have a startling kind of impact. Got a buddy in the color business. He used to work for us. He got smart, got out. But essentially what he does, he goes to very nice landscapes and he picks 3 or 4 little spots, and they may not be much bigger than this table, and he puts color in there. He goes back 4 times a year and changes that. You have year-round color in 4 little spots. And so a very nice landscape becomes a spectacular landscape. And they pay him very well for those little spots.
And what is his name?
His name is Jim Harrington. Okay, what do you put in front of a red house?
Not red, not pink.
Us guys, we kind of have a problem with colors. You know, do our socks match? And does this go with that? But here they have a little redbud tree, which really isn't red. Really, a redbud tree is really pink. I kind of can get away with it, but you have to be very careful with putting those pink azaleas in front of that red house. Sometimes you have to worry about that. Here, I don't know if they painted the house to match the flowers, the planted flowers to match the house.
Either way, it's a mistake.
Either way, it's a little much, right? But it is colorful. This is sort of the in-town kind of fix up the old place, kind of Grant Park kind of thing, right? Shade makes it a little tougher. It's hard to get things to bloom in the shade, as well. The good news is they're coming up with lots of colored foliage things. They're taking and doing a lot of wonderful research and coming up with a lot of great colors. This is Abelia. This is my new favorite. Who cares if it ever, this is Kaleidoscope, very good. There's one called Mardi Gras and one called Kaleidoscope, and those are my two favorites. But this is what the plant looks like all the time. There's color in your landscape, and not to mention Abelia is one of those, call it a graveyard plant. You go out and plant it and you never touch it and it just does, it thrives. Matter of fact, over in North Fulton County, they have a recycling center, and 20 years ago, a bunch of us went over there and built a exhibit, and so 6 of us were working on it, and we said, okay, but everybody bring 2 plants, and put some plants up there. I carried 2 Abelias, and they all carry other things, and out of all those plants, that's the only one that I like, because nobody's maintaining or water fertilizing. Abelia, Abelia.
And the deer don't bother it either, which is nice.
I don't have that many deer. She says the deer.
Okay, about 3 to 5 feet at the most.
It depends.
Anyhow, there are Abelia that'll get 4 to 6 feet. There are others that stay very short or stay very dwarf, but grow into that Burger King burger kind of shape. And I just think, of course, this is the plant. You know, this one's Mardi Gras. They also will bloom, and they'll bloom about 6 months of the year. It's just a great plant, and they'll grow in the shade. They don't bloom as profusely, but they will grow in the shade. So there's a lot of ways to have color in the landscape other than flowers. And it doesn't have to all be in the ground. You can do potted stuff. I guess I probably have as much stuff growing in pots as I do in the ground. It's amazing, and the cool thing is you can have these 3 pots somewhere else in the landscape next year. You can move them around and match them and not have the exact same landscape year to year. So having things that you can move around is kind of cool. Of course, your trees also are going to have color. I've got an area that I'm going to put in a buckeye because I need a small ornamental tree. It's on great color, and a lot of those are lucky buckeyes. Although I'm not much of an Ohio State fan. Edging is important. It really takes just a little simple area and makes it really stand out. That's what your edging can do. So why do we need edging? Because we have Bermuda grass, and it's going to grow all up across there and in there. Not to mention we have the sands, right? That we talked about. I don't know, this grass in here, that's a full-time job. You'll never pull it all out and keep it all out unless you get it edged and pretty heavily mulched. Yes, ma'am.
Recommendations of good things to camouflage some of those utility boxes.
I use ground covers and small shrubs. The whole idea is don't try and hide it. You're gonna have to stay far enough away from it that the guy with his clippers, he's gonna put it for you if you get too close to it.
So like,
Yeah, you want to see, yeah, whatever you're gonna plant in there. And if you think about a little thing that's this tall, if you've got monkey grass in front of it that's 10 or 11 to 12 inches tall, you're really not seeing much of it. You can't restrict their access to it. You'll kind of regret that later. But here you just need some sort of edging. It's just never going to look good until you get something in there that you can stop the aggressive grasses and that kind of thing. Of course, you can use light colors. Light colors attract attention. I like this because these brick are down in the ground. You can mow this.
Yeah.
You want to edge anything and you're trimming the ground. Lazy man's gardening, right? Yes, sir.
I think that you didn't have to be to stop the Bermuda grass. I found it to go under is relatively shallow, didn't you?
Yeah. That's what Roundup was invented for. Roundup is good. And there's all kinds of things you can use. You can use the stones. You can use. I have some edging that's bottles. It's old wine bottles, and I've got the different colors, and they're planted in the ground with about this much of the bottle sticking out. Well, the bottoms are concave, so every day they catch the dew, and you have butterflies. Now, my mother saw that, and she had not little bottles, and I got green ones and blue ones and pink ones. And she said, "What do you call this? Trailer park landscaping?" You can see her saying that, can't you? Yeah, she was a garden clubber. She thought that was happy. Yeah, I just took a trenching, a little hand, I don't call it a hatchet looking deal. Another trench, just put them down in there and pack them one next to the next. And so I have a nice big curving roll of bottles. I don't even drink wine. I went to the recycling place and got the bottles. If anybody has any red bottles, I don't have enough red. Red's not. But then a lot of these things out there, and here's the deal. We have Georgia red clay. You don't need to cement anything. You put these stones there and you put clay between them, you take that rake handle and you just pack it around them and put a little more and pack. It ain't going anywhere. And as a matter of fact, it'll hardly get anything to grow there. You get a little moss or something, which can be attractive. But you don't need to cement this kind of stuff on. Mulches, of course, mulches, kind of make things look neat, essentially, and they do all the good things that mulches do. They hold moisture in, they moderate temperatures, so in cold days it's not as cold, on hot days it's not as hot. Mulches are great to use. You see the roll? There's something called rolling and tucking. Essentially, you scatter it all, and you just kind of grab it and roll it and tuck it. And I had a fellow who's in the mulching business. That's all he does is mulching. And he was talking one day, and he's giving out business cards, and he says, "My edges are so sharp, if you fall on it, they'll cut you." Okay, that's pretty cool. He believes in what he does, right? But that kind of gives it that neat appearance. Grass isn't ever going to grow between these trees. Stop trying. It ain't gonna happen. And the people call us and say, "I've been putting this seed out here every year for 37 years. It's just different." Sir, have you ever been walking through the woods and seen a big patch of grass? What does that do? And there's all kind of things. Bark comes in all kind of different sizes. What's the one problem with bark? I heard it. It floats away. Your neighbor will get on your bark. You have any sloping ball, you got to corral it in. Gravel is good. There's all kind of rocks. Light colors attract attention. Dark colors kind of dissipate things. Had a lady call the office one day. She said, I moved here from Minnesota. I always wanted to have azaleas. I planted azaleas and they died. I planted some more and they died. What's killing my azaleas? I said, well, send me a picture. She had them planted in the full sun, in the middle of the yard, surrounded by white rock. Reflected light and heat. Yankees. I don't know. And right. Get a lot of those. Okay, this is the stuff that the tree people will give you for free. Is it good?
It is for passive.
Depends on where you're using it.
Great to pass. It's not pretty, but if you want to put down a layer of this and then a layer of the expensive stuff on top, that would make good sense. Is it going to attract termites? No. The termites already know where you live. You're not going to be surprised. Will a termite eat this little piece of wood if it's like, hey, if it's laying on the ground, the termite will eat it, but will it then go over and get in your house? Not any more likely than if you already have them in your house.
It will grow all kinds of fungi.
Oh yeah, you get some nice cool mushrooms, and we get lots of calls about some of those are interesting. Use of trees. Okay, here's why we need trees. Now, if you're in the building business, you love this. You don't have to worry about all that junk, right? But if you notice in here, there's about 30 people hiding in here trying to find some shade, right? Having a little shade would be a good thing. And of course, the difference is you drive through traffic, you go through all the hassle, you drive up into a nice shady landscape, you just kind of go, having some shade is a very good thing. Trees also have their shape and they also have their size. And if I get one more phone call that says, how do you prune a magnolia? Well, why would you prune a magnolia? Because every time I try to walk down the path, it's the limbs smack me in the face. Well, move the path. right? Because that's what they do. They get big and, matter of fact, I have a brother-in-law, John Rutherford, is Mr. Perfect. And he bought this house and it's got a magnolia that was planted literally by the mailbox, and it was full size. And you stand out across the street and look, you can see the gutters on the house. Is about all you see. He says, what do you think I need to do about this landscape? I said, well, first thing I do is take down that tree. He said, oh no, the tree's the reason we bought the house. But you can also use, if you want to focus attention in a direction, you can never plant a shrub that's going to get big enough in some cases. So you can use small ornamental trees and things that are that kind of thing to also focus attention in the direction that you want to go. Here, not only do we have a big square box sitting on top of the ground, it's got points on it. It looks like it literally could take right off and levitate. Having the background, even though it's not solid across here, that tends to bring it down and make it look like it belongs on the planet Earth. That it's not really a space travel kind of thing. Love this one here. You got the front of the house. It's really got some nice detail, and it looks really good. This is kind of where the garage is. It's really kind of old, so they put the little magnolia here. And in a few years, you don't see the boring part of the house. You just see the nice part of the house, right? And that's as big as it's going to get. And it's doing its job. It's one plant, essentially. Here we got a little trouble with how you got windows that you want to have some screening from the busy street out here. So how do you do that? So you what they've done is they've selected left, and it's just little pine trees. They planted some more in there, so they get their screening, but they still got one problem.
Grass is gonna die.
Who's going to mow that? Well, you'd be thumping something every 2 steps, right? So it took them a while to figure it out, but then they did their edge. Now this is what I think is cool about this is once you get a tree that gets on up there and saw it down, and it's about that big around, and stick another little baby one in. They cost $1. And about every 5 years, you take out 2 or 3, you put in 2 or 3, and these are pine trees. They're producing you mulch. And they're giving you the screen and the no diseases or insects to speak of. And you can manage as long as you don't let them get to be timber sized. Right? Great myrtles, great plants. What color are these going to bloom? Who cares? What we're looking at is the exfoliating bark. There are some trees, to me, the elm trees, that the bark, and I don't care what's above there. I like looking at the bark. Now here they painted their house for him to match bark on the trees, which I thought was pretty creative. What color is it bloom? I don't care. Crabapple trees, beautiful, beautiful spring color, right? And then in summer you get the nice shiny leaves and you got the bright red fruit. Great, right? Put that over a sidewalk and what have you got?
Oh my God, yes.
You got all these big stains that are on your shoe and on your carpet. And you got bees buzzing around and chasing you around, yellow jackets and all kinds of nasty things. Now, who wants to guess where this is? That's exactly what it is. This is the backside of the Cooperative Extension Service building in Athens. And inside there's these little spots all over the carpet. So crab apples are beautiful plants. You should give one to each of your neighbors. You don't necessarily want them where the people are going to be because of the bugs and the bees and all those kinds of things. So think about that as you're choosing plants in the landscape. And trees, just like plants, they're going to have some of those little things. Eventually, the power company is going to knock on your door. And I know this was probably a ball and burlap Christmas tree. About 20 years ago, that was a big fad. Buy a Christmas tree and then later plan. That's my time to go. I remember going to a garden center and they had all these Christmas trees that they were selling ball and burlap. But what they don't tell you is about 6 days inside is about all the trees going to survive. But I'm going, what is this plant? I wrote all the names down and went back to the office and looked them up. Of that, I think they had 14 plants. Only 2 would grow in Georgia. The people paying all this big bucks to have a Christmas tree that they could later plant outside. This one apparently survived. But Now, I love this old picture. These are dogwoods. They're growing in about 1 foot space. And every time a truck comes by, it prunes the limbs off. And every time kids ride through here, people walk through, breaking the limbs off. Dogwoods, right? So come spring, and they bloom. So it looks like this long row of Q-tips right down the highway, right? Because they're all. That's not where a tree belongs. Put it in a place where it has at least a fighting chance. How the heck these have survived, I have no idea. A little bit about maintenance. Why do we do this to ourselves? Okay, this is the entrance way to a big business. Who wants to guess what kind of business it is?
Landscaping business.
Yeah.
Training center. for
Meatball factory.
Well, then that's appropriate.
I don't know. I get you to hire your brother-in-law. But people do this. They'll create all the little meatball things, and they'll prune and they'll prune and they'll prune some more. I don't know. Maybe it's getting kind of artsy, but to me, plants have a natural shape and they look very nice. And if you mix and match your shapes, as well as the colors and the textures and those sorts of things, it's all. Somebody with too much time on their hands, right? But in a landscape, here's what you're having to back out or pull out, and you've got to be able to see. And so what do? You have to constantly keep pruning. You got a plant that's going to get this tall, and you keep trying to keep it down. So you're constantly, doing maintenance on the plant, and it's never going to look good. It's time to clear that out to something that would be appropriate in the size and the shapes and whatever. And this is the old method of just put it here. At least curve them all together into one place. Now, what's the most likely place in the landscape to have a whole bunch of stuff, really pretty stuff planted? Where in the front yard?
By the mailbox.
By the mailbox. Why is it that we feel that we must build a shrine to the U.S. Postal Service? I do not understand, but if you'll run around most landscapes, you're going to find that's where all the really fancy, nice. I didn't get start. You got all these bricks above the ground, right? And so you mow all this grass. There's a lot of grass to mow, and then you've got to go edge and do this. I want to show you the other side of this landscape. Let's go. It goes all around the house, and it goes over the other place, and then it comes around the house. There's more brick in the edging than there is in the house. And the bad news is, it's not down in the ground, it's above the ground.
Oh, it's just about the
Which means you got all the issues of plants and weeds and edging. I don't know, that's just crazy. So we get carried away with maintenance. This is a maintenance issue. Same thing here, you've got a kind of a wet, boggy area. Grass ain't gonna grow here. Azaleas will not grow there. They're really very dry level plants. But there are a lot of impatiens. There are a lot of plants that will do well in the moist environment. But you've got this edge that it just doesn't look, and there's all kinds of things you can do to some sort of an edging or something that would create no maintenance. I like Leary oak. Some people don't like it, but there's no edging. You mow right around it. And so the grass, all my grass touches either Leary oak or touches cement or touches something, but I have an old weed eater kind of thing, but I mean, not a crank. Not used it. Ground covers versus lawn in places where grass is not going to do well. You touch the screen. I'm having nightmares tonight. I'm not real crazy about it. I agree that there are a lot of great ground covers that we have, and in the little booklet there, it's going to describe dozens of the things for you. But where grass is not going to grow well, where you've got slope or shade or Georgia red clay or any combination of those, you're not going to have good turf grass. Put something else there. Not to mention, turf grass uses an awful lot of water. And this is an area where people are cutting through and walking through, and it's just some ground covers. And it turned out to be a very, very nice looking place. It's in heavy shade and it still has some color to it. This is Pachysandra. It's zero maintenance, essentially. I guess every few years you'll get in there and pluck out a couple that are trying to sneak out. But if you'll do a good roll and cut on there, you won't have to do that. How about this for lower maintenance? If you have an area that gets a lot of traffic, and that's what this is, well, people park here walk into this old country home there. What's the cost of that? It's probably cheaper than the fescue every year for 30 years.
Isn't that too close to the tree? I mean, the tree.
Yeah, probably. Well, it depends on which was there first. If you plant a tree next to this, it put its roots on the other side, it'd never be an issue. That tree looks like it's been there a while though, doesn't it?
Describe rolling top.
Okay, you take your pine straw and throw it all out, and then you just kind of grab bits of it and you roll it into like a wood. Cube.
Landscapers do
Stuff it
that.
on the edge of it. Stuff it back on the other, and it'll create you a very nice sharp edge that it won't fall apart.
Landscapers do that with a leaf blower.
Oh no, that's pretty talented.
No, they do. If you've ever watched them, they'll spread it out even over the grass and they come on with leaf blower and they blow the grass underneath so that it actually rolls it underneath.
Okay. House in my neighborhood, I rode by it 100 times and never noticed they have no lawn. They have hellebores, and then in in late November, these things all bloomed. I went, holy cow, look at that. They've got 10,000 hellebores out there. Is there any, what's the maintenance? Zero. Now, I can kind of clean this all up and make it look a little neater, but you don't necessarily have that. Here you have the guy got tired of thumping his head on the tree when he's mowing the grass is really what happened. So he did a nice big round thing. Nice dead of winter. Everything is kind of dull looking, right? But it looks kind of artsy. The cherry tree there.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The plant, the white plant.
Hellebores.
Latin rose.
Buttons in the winter time. They come in several colors. How much grass do you need? I like this. Well, honey, I'm going out to cut the grass. I'm back. I mean, how much grass do you really need? We all have, builders, when they build a house, they have a tendency to cover as much of it with grass as they can because they can throw that down and be gone in a day. And then we're left with the fence and house, the street, turf grass, and we don't need near any of that run. A little bit about water. See how much time is going here. A little bit about water, the water-wise landscape kind of thing is something that, in the future, and we've seen water restrictions, and we may one day see no outside watering. So we need to be thinking about that, getting our landscapes ready for that. What we find is that during the summer months, we use way more water, even though we don't want to admit it. This is part of the culprit. Anybody want to guess what that little booger produces? 360 gallons an hour, which is equivalent to 14 5-minute showers or 1 teenage shower, 26 runs of dishwasher, or 1 teenager's. You can tell I have a teenager at home from recently. But yeah, this is about what a kid goes through, about 9 loads of laundry a day. But essentially, it's an awful lot of water that's used by that sprinkler, and when we have those things running, and we forget to leave one on all night, we have surprises when we get our water bill. 7 steps to water-wise landscape. First of all, planning and design. Think about as you're planning your landscape, as you're putting all these little plants, try and avoid that long row that's going to have to be watered. And think about a group here and a group there, maybe 1 or 2 in the middle, and reduce, have watering in mind as you do some of these as you do your planning steps. It is possible to have 3 zones, and if you think about it in your landscape, you've got areas that you water more frequently than others. Makes perfect good sense. Our objective is to have 10% of the landscape that you water on a regular basis. 60% that you don't water at all. Now, is that impractical? Not necessarily. What here needs to be watered?
Grass once in a while.
That little patch of grass in there. And reseeded every year because it's never going to be that great.
It looks good.
Now, once again, I am not into ivy. I do not like ivy, and it needs some of the plants, and I kill it. But there are lots of ground covers, and there are lots of ways to use things that once they are established, then they don't need a lot of water. Typical landscape, you got all this turf grass, you got some azaleas in here. Well, they bloom, they're going to use more water than say the Andes and stuff. And once they're established, they can use very little. Of course, turf grass is a pretty big water user. So what you essentially have, high water use, moderate, because it is azaleas, and these really not much. can you change this landscape? Use some beds, you know, get this group in the trees in the pine straw, which will never have to be watered. You got your annuals, they're bright color. This is high impact landscape for the area. So they're gonna have to be watered. This less so, since we got water, low. So the amount of area having high water use, just kind of have this little. And this is year one. You can year two, do some other things. You can reduce grass areas and those kinds of things as well. Soil analysis, I'm sure y'all heard till you go in the face, test the soil. Plants that are healthy will use less water. And so the right amount of fertility and those sorts of things will help with that. Appropriate plant selection is not so much a matter of give me a list of water tolerant plants or plants that use less water. That really is not what this is all about. What it really is about is stay away from things that have problems. You know, there are certain plants that can have diseases and stuff. This is red tip petunias. I've got some that are 30 feet tall. When I moved in, I didn't think that's what they were, but they are. But they're planted 50 feet apart. The air blows through them, no disease problems. But you plant them really close together, just like the lignans, and you got all these boxospheres and all those kind of things as problems. If you will put sun plants in the sun and shade plants in the shade, they'll all use less water, have less maintenance, less fertilizer has to be used, and all those good things that you want on your landscape. It's when you know, put the wrong thing in the wrong place that you have a problem. Sun plants in the sun. And we have so many to choose from. What else? Practical turf areas. This is the summer home of George Washington. But essentially, how do you know that? I mean, do you ever get through? You just start over when you finally get to the end. We don't need as much turf grass as we have. And more landscapes are getting to be smaller and smaller turf areas. And like I say, I love ground coverage, and I love flower beds, and I love things like that, and I just don't need that much turf grass. Efficient irrigation, folks, you just won't believe the technology that's out there these days. They've got little gauges that your ears won't come on when it's raining. We recently helped the high school do the ball field. My kid played ball, and we went out there and they put sensors in the ground. And when the ground gets to a certain moisture level of dryness, wirelessly, this is all done, the irrigation system comes on. And it waters only the part of the field that's dry. How cool is that? And so we have these kind of things available. The technology is there. Then again, this is my favorite technology. You got your garden, your sprinkler on the other end, right, sitting around and runs for 20 minutes, right? But the whole idea is I know that the sprinkler that shoots a circle, it takes about 55 minutes to do an inch of water. And I got a little orange one that does a square area. It takes about 20 minutes. So that's how long I run each of those sprinklers.
I've forgotten that many times.
Yep.
It's running, I said, oh my gosh. something's
Yep.
running.
I have a little sign that says water, and I put it, in front of the television so that I can't not walk by.
Do you recommend that for him?
I'm sorry?
Do you recommend that for him?
No, I don't. The $9 one, I'm sure I bought because the other one was $11. So I have a very sophisticated way. But these kind of things do work, but I just know how long it needs to run, and I did it with the little tuna fish cans, and I measured it and how much water comes out at what speed and all that. Some years ago, I filled up the entire front yard and was trying to decide where to put my bed lines. I thought about it, and I looked from the upstairs window, and I looked from across the street, and looked from the neighbor's house to ask my wife where she wanted it. Still no definite answer. So I went, what the heck? I went to put my sprinkler out there and let it run for 20 minutes. That's where I put the bed line. And I put two little popsicle sticks under the sprinkler. So I go out and find little popsicle sticks and put the sprinkler on it and let it run for 20 minutes. Lazy gardening is good. Avoid light frequent. What you want is a deep root system, shallow root system. That's what you're after. You all have heard all of that, I'm sure. Use the mulches. Mulches are great. They do all the good things that mulches do. They can be an attractive part of the landscape. And like I say, I've got in my office plastic pine straw and rubber mulch. I've got every kind of mulch known to man. It smells kind of like an auto shop when you put the rubber mulch out. But these things, they just, for maintenance wise and all those kind of things, it just makes it very easy. And it holds moisture in around the roots of your plant. Inappropriate maintenance. If you want to make a plant use a lot of water, throw fertilizer at it. Or get out there and prune it, and keep pruning it, and do more and more pruning. The more pruning you do, the plant's going, oh, wait, what happened? I'm missing some leaves here. Let me kick a bunch on, and to do that, it's got to use up more water. And so when you're pruning, essentially any branches sticking out, don't cut it off there at the edge. Reach down in the plant about 2 feet, cut it off there. I think y'all have a session on pruning. But that kind of thing just reduces the amount of water that the plant has to have. Okay, do before and after. How am I doing time? Doing so good. Okay, before and after. Here we have a little house. There's nowhere to park. How do you mow this without rolling the lawnmower into the street? Boom. Essentially, you got that problem solved. I don't know that I would have used all the little meatballs. I do like a ground cover. I use a different one, but we just don't have how much grass. How long does it take to cut the grass? Really? So this is a low maintenance landscape. It's a low water use landscape because once this stuff, now, these things, and like I say, I have a little group here, a little group there, and I've used all of it, but low water use, low maintenance, low cost, low everything, right? You back and forth again? 4.
Well, maybe the house too, that helped.
Now, if all else fails, with all of your landscape planning and all of the work that you could ever do, you can always do what we call Alabama landscaping. Get you some white, get some tires and hang them.
All I'm missing there should be a trailer.
Yeah, it should have a trailer. Something says, War Eagle over there, right? Okay, I am 3 minutes early. What questions do we got? Do we have any questions? You're worn out. Worn out. I'm going with worn out. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm not from this area, but when do you water?
When I have to,
Like, night
oh, absolutely, at night. Yeah, your plants are wet with the dew. They're not gonna get any wetter. And so disease, as a matter of fact, our disease guys are the ones that figured this out. They say if you water about sunup, then you'll never have disease. So if your lawn is eat up with disease, it's because the rhizotomy with diseases that grow, they need 14 hours of wet for them to grow and spread. And so that won't, you'll have only 12 hours of wet unless you get home in the afternoon and water before sundown. But yes, at night, go out there at 9 o'clock at night would be the best thing. 9, 10, 11, 12, I don't know how late you stay up, but the whole idea is to do it at night. If you want to get up at 4 in the morning, you do it that time too. I don't do a lot of that. But yeah, do it at night. And try not to wet the foliage of plants. If you can use soaker hoses and all those kind of things, you'll use less water. And if with wet leaves, it's where you have less insects and there's diseases and stuff that come from wet foliage. Yes, ma'am.
I think of pine trees as being tornado based.
Okay.
Sort of always come down with the storm. You have any thoughts about it?
Well, you know, the people, we had a couple years ago, and I remember a young couple moved in, they were just out of college, they were both school teachers, and they cut down 38 trees in the yard. And so we had a wooded neighborhood with this big square, no trees. And someone came to the door, and I said, "You're gonna die. These trees are gonna fall on you and kill you for sure." And they did it. But truth of the matter is, that tree's been standing for 75 years. We've had hurricanes, we've had all these storms. What makes it fall down? Now, every year, we have a storm or two, and you'll see a limb or a tree on top of a house. We've got 5 million houses in the Atlanta area, and they can show us half a dozen a year. I have huge trees. I got other stuff to worry about. I'm not gonna worry about that. If you've got one with a big fusiform canker in the side of it, or one that's got a nasty lean to it, then yeah, have the artist look at it. But if the tree's healthy and looks good, odds are very good it's gonna be here for the next owner. Which is mine. Well, but I don't really want to pay for thinking of them.